He is known for being a French Roman Catholic priest, professor, and theologian. He is recognized for being a founder of modernism in the Roman Catholic Church. He challenged traditional interpretations of the Bible and advocated for theological interpretations. His name is Alfred Firmin Loisy. In the late 19th century, a French Roman Catholic priest named Alfred Firmin Loisy emerged as a prominent figure in the theological landscape. Loisy, known for his critical views on traditional interpretations of the Bible, challenged the established doctrines of the Roman Catholic Church. Born into a devout Catholic family, Loisy's intellectual curiosity and thirst for knowledge led him down a path of questioning and exploration. As a theologian, Loisy believed that biblical criticism could provide valuable insights for a theological interpretation of the Bible. He argued that understanding the historical and cultural context in which the scriptures were written was essential to grasping their true meaning. These radical ideas put him at odds with the Church's authorities, including Pope Leo XIII and later Pope Pius X. Loisy's most famous quote, "Jesus announced the kingdom, and it is the Church that came," encapsulated his controversial views. He proposed that the Church, as an institution, had strayed from the original message of Jesus and had become a separate entity that overshadowed the kingdom of God that Jesus had preached. This perspective challenged the traditional notion of the Church as the direct embodiment of Jesus' teachings. His unorthodox beliefs and writings led to his dismissal as a professor from the Institut Catholique de Paris in 1893. The Roman Curia condemned his books, and in 1908, Loisy was excommunicated from the Roman Catholic Church. Despite these setbacks, Loisy's ideas sparked a significant shift in theological discourse and laid the foundation for modernism in the Catholic Church. Alfred Loisy, a prominent figure in the field of theology and philosophy, embarked on an intellectual journey that would challenge his faith and reshape his understanding of the Catholic faith. Born in 1857, Loisy was introduced to the ecclesiastical school of Saint Dizier at a tender age of 4. His early education laid the foundation for his eventual decision to become a priest, and he was educated at the Grand Séminaire de Châlons-en-Champagne from 1874 to 1879. However, as Loisy progressed in his studies, doubts began to creep into his mind regarding the soundness of the Catholic faith. These doubts intensified after he fell ill, prompting him to return to the Institut Catholique de Paris for further education. It was during this time that Loisy's perspective on religion would undergo a profound transformation. In 1879, Loisy was ordained as a priest. But instead of focusing solely on parish work, he requested to be reassigned to the institute to complete his baccalaureate in theology. His thirst for knowledge led him to study Hebrew, guided by influential figures such as Ernest Renan and Abbé Paulin Martin. Loisy's studies in biblical languages and textual criticism opened his eyes to the complexities and challenges present within the scriptures. Loisy's academic pursuits culminated in 1890 when he successfully defended his theological degree. His defense involved presenting 40 Latin scholastic theses and a French dissertation titled Histoire du canon de l'Ancien Testament. This work, which explored the history of the Old Testament canon, marked the beginning of Loisy's journey to challenge and question traditional interpretations of religious texts. Alfred Loisy, a prominent figure in biblical criticism, found himself at the center of controversy with his groundbreaking ideas. Loisy's philosophy challenged traditional beliefs and interpretations of the Bible, sparking a heated debate within religious and academic circles. In November 1893, Loisy published a lecture summarizing his position on biblical criticism, which ultimately led to his dismissal from his teaching position. Loisy boldly declared that the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible, was not the work of Moses. He argued that these texts were not authored by a single individual but were rather a compilation of different sources. Furthermore, he asserted that the first 5 chapters of Genesis should not be understood as literal history, challenging the widely held belief in the literal interpretation of these accounts. Another controversial claim made by Loisy was that the New Testament and the Old Testament did not possess equal historical value. He argued that there was a development in scriptural doctrine, suggesting that the teachings of the New Testament were more relevant and authoritative than those of the Old Testament. Loisy also emphasized that biblical writings should be subject to the same limitations as the works of other ancient authors. He believed that the Bible, while sacred and significant, should not be exempt from critical analysis and scrutiny. Loisy's views on biblical criticism were seen as a radical departure from traditional religious interpretations, leading to his dismissal from his teaching position. These groundbreaking ideas put Loisy in direct conflict with the Catholic Church. Pope Leo XIII indirectly condemned Loisy's position in his encyclical Providentissimus Deus, making it increasingly difficult for Loisy to continue publishing his critical work. Eventually, Loisy made the difficult decision to suppress his own publication, L'Enseignement biblique, at the end of 1893. Loisy's philosophy of biblical criticism continues to be a subject of debate and study today. His ideas challenge traditional beliefs and interpretations, encouraging a more critical and nuanced approach to understanding the Bible. While his views may have been met with resistance in his time, they have paved the way for a deeper exploration of the historical and literary dimensions of the Bible. Alfred Loisy, a French theologian and biblical scholar, found himself at odds with traditional Christian beliefs and the Catholic Church in the early 20th century. His groundbreaking work, Les Évangiles synoptiques, published in 1908, would ultimately lead to his excommunication. In this controversial work, Loisy challenged the views of theologian Adolf von Harnack and argued for the necessity and inevitability of the formation of the Catholic Church. Loisy's arguments were rooted in his acceptance of Johannes Weiss eschatology, which posited that Jesus believed the kingdom of God was imminent and therefore saw no need to establish a formal church. According to Loisy, it was only after Jesus' death and resurrection that his original proclamation of the kingdom was transformed by his disciples, leading to the formation of the church. This stood in direct opposition to Harnack's conception of Christianity. Drawing inspiration from Cardinal Newman's theory on the development of Christian doctrine, which Loisy had studied during his time at Neuilly, he emphasized that the transformation of Jesus' teachings by his disciples was legitimate. However, this viewpoint clashed with the beliefs of Cardinal Richard, who condemned Loisy's work. Pope Leo, Loisy's contemporary, refused to directly interfere, but it was his successor, Pope Pius X, who would ultimately condemn Loisy's works. In addition to his controversial views on the formation of the Catholic Church, Loisy also presented a distinct understanding of the religion of Israel in his work La Religion d'Israël. He made a distinction between a pre-Moses period, in which the Hebrews worshipped the god El, also known as Elohim, and a later stage when Yahweh became the sole deity of the Jews. Alfred Loisy's philosophical and theological ideas challenged the established beliefs of his time and ultimately led to his excommunication. While his work may have been met with resistance, it continues to inspire critical thinking and reflection on the development of religious institutions. Loisy's exploration of the formation of the Catholic Church and the evolution of Israelite religion invites us to question traditional narratives and consider alternative interpretations in our daily lives.
Do you want to explore more philosophers? Who do you want to see featured next? Subscribe and leave a comment below to let me know. I'll see you in the next video.